For too long have we humans flitted about like scattered leaves, blown haplessly by gusting desires and bodily appetites. We crave impermanent gratifications, yet wonder at the hollowness that trails in their wake. Contentment and lasting fulfillment seem ever to elude our grasp. But take heart, dear friends. The path to profound personal resolution lies not in accumulating more possessions or pursuing greater creature comforts. Nay, it unveils itself through a supreme reorientation, a calibrating of our minds and values to harmonize with nature's universal order. The philosophy of Stoicism reveals this secret, that we alone hold the keys to cultivating resilient spirits of unflappable joy, galvanized ethics, and purposeful living aligned with virtue. By honing our perceptions, focusing our energies on what is within our control, and living as engaged participants in the cosmic unfolding, we ascend to human existence's highest summit. So still your minds and temper your souls with these 9 timeless rules gifted by history's Stoic thinkers. Embrace their paradigm-shattering insights, and you shall awaken to greet each new day as a breathtaking miracle, brimming with beauty, meaning, and opportunity for heroic growth. Before we begin, I would appreciate your support. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. If you like the theme of this video, please comment +1, and if you don't like it, then comment 0. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Rule number 1. Put people first. My friends, we are social creatures, intricately woven into the vast tapestry of humanity. To live a virtuous life is to recognize that our individual good is inextricably linked to the collective good. The philosopher Cicero perfectly captured this sentiment. We are not born for ourselves alone. Look around you, your loved ones, neighbors, even strangers you pass each day. Are they not like you in their hopes, fears, and yearnings? By prioritizing the needs of others over our own fleeting desires, we uphold the sacred bond that united humankind. This is not to suggest a complete abandonment of self, for we cannot pour from an empty cup. Rather, it is a humble reframing of what constitutes true fulfillment. I ask you, when you breathe your last breath, what will matter more? The trophies and accolades amassed, or the lives you touched? The material inevitably fades, but the warmth of a tender glance, a selfless deed, these etchings on the souls of others reverberate eternally. So let us wholeheartedly accept the advice to be good and sincere friends, by which I mean persevering, industrious, and upright. Reach out to help the fallen, listen to those who are burdened, and you will know the transcendent joy of being part of something greater than yourself. In this vast cosmos of chaos, love is the great beacon, guiding weary travelers home. Let it be our North Star, steering us ever towards the happiness that comes from losing ourselves in service to others. For in that surrender, paradoxically, we are made whole. Rule number 2. Another path is always open. In this grand game of life, obstacles are inevitable, emerging like unruly grasses after a storm. But remember, my friends, a Stoic is an artist of circumstance. Where others stumble, you shall flow, finding new paths yet untrodden. For what is adversity, if not opportunity's catalyst? Did not Zeno himself proclaim, "The philosopher's conquering of fortitude is the strongest citadel"? Every barrier presents a hidden gift, a chance to innovate, to forge new neural pathways of resilience. Imagine the wildflower obstructed by a fallen tree. It need not lament its plight, nor fruitlessly bash against implacable bark. No, with tranquil resolve, it arches, bends, and extends tender shoots through newly available crevices, unfurling radiant petals towards the sun. Let this be your model. The path we originally envisioned may become impassable, so be it. Our destination remains unaltered. Adapt your course and call upon your reason to illuminate new routes over, under, around, or through. The universe, in its infinite creativity, proffers a multitude of paths to those whose minds are open and pliant. As Seneca wisely advised, fire is the test of gold, adversity of strong men. Retrospect will reveal that your most formidable roadblocks fostered not constraint, but resiliency, the most sterling of human virtues. Embrace them as teachers, then, permitting each setback to further temper your philosophic mettle. So go forth and flow, my friends. Let no obstacle dampen your spirits, for you possess the ultimate power, the power to ever transform, redesigning your course through this dynamic, breathtaking cosmos. Rule number 3, take it step by step. Our modern age is one of hurry and distraction. Ambition's siren song lures us to make overwhelming plans and cast our mindful gaze eternally toward future rewards. But in doing so, we neglect the present moment, the fertile soil in which all progress takes root. How often have you mapped an epic journey only to falter at the first step? Visions of grandeur dance before you, yet candid commitment wanes, aspirations languish unrealized. This is ambition's folly, to crave the summit while spurning the very path that rises towards it. Seneca warned of such delusion when he wrote, "There is nothing the busy man is less busy than living." To live fully and freely, we must shed this cultural constraint. For what is accomplishment, if not an accrual of small, steady efforts? The Odyssey began not with a fantasy of Ithaca, but with Odysseus first slinging his pack over his shoulder. Imagine the humble berry unseduced by thoughts of becoming a lush bramble. It does not will itself into a flourishing tangle overnight. No, it simply leans towards what scant sunlight it finds, unfurling possibilities one calculated inch at a time. From this reasoned, stepwise approach, majesty arises organically. So too must you reorient towards the immediate, the achievable. Abandon grandiose plans that obscure manageable initiation. Where is the first step, however modest? Anchor your focus there and faithfully take it. With each successive foothold of effort, awareness suffuses your endeavor, burning away imposing visions until only the executable next milestone remains. This is discipline's golden essence, staying present, problem by problem, step by inexorable step. For through modest, repeated action, even colossal undertakings are dismantled and gathered, brick by steady brick. As the sage Lao Tzu taught, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today, my friends, and abide by wisdom's cadence. Steadily forward, encouraged by progress's incremental inevitability. This alone manifests even your most hard-to-grasp ambitions into reality. Rule number 4. Discard your anxiety. Look around, my friends. Observe the natural world existing in perfect equilibrium. The river does not fret over which course to take, but flows steadily along contours. The oak releases its leaves, not in anguish, but in serene surrender to season's ebb and flow. Yet we humans, blessed with reason's gift, too often squander it. We churn with worries, born of expectations anxiously projected into an opaque future. But this discontent arises not from external circumstances, but from the unchecked wanderings of our own deluded minds. As Epictetus sagely remarked, it's not events themselves that disturb people, but the judgments they form about them. When we cling to how we think the world should be, rather than accepting what is, reason atrophies into ruinous rumination. So free yourself from this self-spun snare. Realize that anxiety springs from judging events as good or bad based on fleeting preferences. True freedom emerges only when we surrender our desperate attempts to control the uncontrollable future. For what is anxiety fundamentally but fear? Apprehension that events may unfold in undesirable ways. Yet reasonable contemplation reveals that fretting cannot alter outcomes. Like screaming at a winter tempest, it expends energy in vain. The gale passes regardless, leaving the thresher depleted. Rather than wasting your finite force resisting inevitable change, establish an unperturbable inner citadel. Become a passive observer of external events, vigilantly scrutinizing only your judgments. Once you identify anxiety's roots in your unrealistic expectations, you liberate yourself to respond with equanimity. The path will not always be smooth. Composure requires steadfast practice. But gradually, you will relinquish attachment and accept each moment as it arises, beautifully imperfect. Your mind's former hostage to phantoms will dissolve into present peace. When the wind rejoices in movement, it refers to the inherent dynamism of nature. Nurture that unbridled magic. Only by eliminating our cravings and aversions will we regain the true zest for life, enjoying each wonderful moment as it happens, free from self-induced anxiety. Rule number 5. Well begun is half done. Allow me to expound on a timeless maxim. Well begun is half done. How we greet each new dawn profoundly shapes the course of the day to follow. Consider the radiant sun itself, which resumes its stately procession across the horizons each morning without delay or inertia. So too must we muster the discipline to arise with purpose, seizing opportunities while the world slumbers. Imagine launching your vessel while winds are fallow, drifting rudderless until chance breezes rouse your sails. How erratic and inefficient. Conversely, by charting your intended course first light, you optimize conditions for a smooth and steady passage. Each subsequent task and challenge is engaged not reactively, but with foresight and settled intent. This is a morning routine's supreme power. It anchors us in the present while sculpting our day's direction through a series of considered, revitalizing actions. Whether through contemplation, exercise, or nourishing sustenance, we lay a purposeful foundation. We awaken not to the drudgery of knee-jerk responses, but to mindfully greet each new cycle as a phenomenal gift. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive. To breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Indeed, what sweeter joy than to rebuff inertia and seize our birthright as rational beings. Consciously investing the first fresh hours in harmonious productivity. Consider the purposeful roots planted by your morning observances. No matter how humble, they establish order, preparing the fertile mind to nourish wisdom's seeds all day. Each succeeding action arises from a grounded, centered state of being. Anxiety dissolves, replaced by smooth progression and enhanced presence. So rise, my friends, and awaken with sacred intent. For while nights obscure tomorrows, each dawn presents a cosmic invitation to author a new chapter brimming with virtue, vitality, and meaning. Embrace the privilege of shaping your hero's journey from its pure genesis. As another adage so truly states, respice futurum, behold the future, and uplift it through the power of well-begun days. Rule number 6. Be strict with yourself. Too often we dissipate our energy on that which we cannot govern, the words, actions, and choices of others. But this is a pursuit as fruitless as commanding the tides. The only sphere where our influence holds sway is within, over our own mind, our own ethical discipline. As Pythagoras wisely counseled, no one is free who has not obtained the empire of himself. Rather than exhausting yourself with attempts to subjugate the uncontrollable external world, turn your philosophical efforts inward. Personal growth and refinement of character are the highest callings and the only path to realizing our cosmic potential as rational beings. Imagine a sculptor fruitlessly scolding her marble to reshape itself, yet neglecting to wield the cutting tools before her. How ineffectual! So too are those who wish to mold circumstances to their liking, while disregarding the impeccable instruments of reason, fortitude, and conscientiousness within their control. The venerated Marcus Aurelius implored us to practice even what seems trifling, for in attending to the smallest applications of self-discipline, we construct an unassailable inner citadel. We forge the self-possession to flow like water around obstructions beyond our influence. Each new day presents a series of tests, frustrations, criticisms, and disruptions to our desires. What separates the sagacious from the unenlightened is how we utilize these frictions. The vulgar respond with knee-jerk blame, railing against the immutable reality. But you, by stringently regulating your own perspective and reactions, transform every moment into a strengthening regimen. When anger arises, you quell it through reverential self-restraint. Lusts and gluttonies are abstained through reason's tempering grip. Convenience is spurned for the rigor of right conduct. And with each impulse masterfully subverted, you chisel away superficial obstructions, revealing the radiant masterpiece that lies within. So embrace your charge, brave pupils. Take command of yourselves through virtuous self-restraint and ethical self-investment. For in refining your inner kingdom, you liberate your truest selves to manifest boundlessly in the outer world. Rule number 7. Don't resent people. Too often we permit the shortcomings and difficulties imposed by others to become poisoned arrows flung at our equanimity. A harsh word, a selfish act, a thoughtless slight. Each perceived transgression risks fermenting into a venomous cocktail of resentment. But this corrosive response serves only to shackle us to the very troubles we abhor. Is not to smell a stink once, but to be smelled by it forever. And how pungent indeed are the stenches of bitterness and resentment when we embrace them. They blind us to the liberating truth that each seeming setback holds greater promise, an opportunity to cultivate resilience. So when next you are affronted, pause before lashing out, for in that suspended moment, a choice unveils itself. You may succumb to baseless animosity, railing impotently against reality itself. Or you can approach the situation as a spiritual drill, a test of your philosophic mettle and capacity to transmute adversity into advantage. The obstructions presented by others need not be cursed, but can be re-envisioned as carefully crafted hurdles to leap with poise and awakened perspective. An insult may be reframed as a reminder to prize unruffled self-control. A selfish act can fortify an abundance mentality. Even grave betrayals can deepen our understanding and forgiveness. With steadfast reason to light the way, we alchemize opposition into opportunities for ethical and psychological reinforcement. Each comeback becomes a fortifying step in our progression towards sagehood. As Rufus counseled his students, the ability to write comes from education, and the ability to respond appropriately to circumstances develops through ceaseless practice. So embrace each test without malice, limiting emotional reactance to hone composure and responsiveness. Resentments dissolve, replaced by appreciation for existence's ceaseless curriculum. For in truth, only through manifold trials can the soul's kernel of impervious virtue be allowed to crazily emerge, hardened and fundamentally unassailable. Rule number 8. Ask yourself, is this essential? In our harried age of inessential busyness, this simple mantra holds the key to liberation. For how many of our daylight hours fritter away in a blizzard of seeming obligations? Meetings to cluster in, inbox trivia to fuss over, shallow distractions masquerading as urgencies. Develop the discipline to frequently pause and scrutinize your current activity or mental vortex. Does it hold any abiding value or wisdom to enrich your spirit? If not, ruthlessly shed it like shorn fleece and rededicate yourself to what ennobles. For each extraneous pursuit we eliminate creates a spacious stillness in which the insignificant blurs and the truly sublime snap into focus. This unclouded clarity permits us to invest fully in life's highest rights, the study of eternal truths, nurturing of treasured relationships, the perfection of one's character and life's purpose. Imagine a sculptor laboring over a vague, indistinct figure, chipping ceaselessly without foresight. The result would be a formless, lurching grotesquerie, but with the precise elimination of all obscuring extraneous stone, the artist's vision manifests, a masterwork whose beauty stills the breath. You are both muse and sculptor, ever refining your life's precious potential into its highest form. So summon your willpower and slice away the trivial and unhelpful with sharp, precise clarity. Be it luxuries, vices, time leeches, or energy drains, if it does not significantly uplift or inspire you, consider it rubble, obstructing your monument's emergence. This distillation of attention is arduous in our cluttered world, but propels us to ever-amplifying degrees of simplicity, purpose, and grace. From the chaos of indiscriminate pursuing comes the radiant serenity of essential living. As Seneca's sage pupil, Lucius counseled his mentor, cultivate only the pursuits worthy of a good person. Value things not by their sheen, but by their worth and utility. With this mantra as your clipping shears, life's true masterpiece, your singular heroic journey, gradually takes definition from the obstructing rubble, and your renaissance is enduringly revealed. Rule number 9. Remember these mantras. Amor fati, a love and wholehearted acceptance of reality in all its perfect imperfections. For what exists and to rail against the immutable is to wage war with existence itself. Resistance binds us in chains of frustration and despair, but with surrendered embracing of what is, we are liberated to adapt, find new paths, and alchemize any situation's lead into philosophical gold. The cosmos itself displays this truth daily through its ceaseless flux. Clouds dissipate, seasons cycle, empires wax and wane, yet all occur with divine choreography. When we attune ourselves to accept this cosmic dance, perceiving even difficulties as opportunities for fortification, profound tranquility suffuses our spirit. And from that equilibrium emerges our second mantra, to live virtuously in service of the greater good, ever asking, how may I be a benefit to humankind? For we are leaves on an infinite tree of existence, nourished by the roots and collective nutrients of our ancestors and society's hard-won wisdom. To thrive is to gratefully embrace our role in improving that fertile legacy. The Stoic ideal is not just acceptance, it is engagement. To contribute our unique energies towards progress, justice, and the advancement of the human project. For are we not, as Cicero proclaimed, nati non nobis solum, not born solely for ourselves, but as cellular emissaries representing the vast eternal whole of humankind? Finally, hold close to the mantra, memento mori, a reminder of your fleeting possession of the precious gift we call life. Each breath is to be exalted and invested wisely, for whether we walk among mortals for a day or a century, our tenures are cosmic eye blinks. So live each instant fully, with amor fati as the lens revealing miracles in every circumstance, and virtuous purpose emitting your spirit's light brilliantly into humanity's shared path, overwhelming the petty and frivolous with transcendent presence. You have been unveiled the timeless keys to sculpting an unassailable spirit, one impervious to the swirling vagaries of fortune and misfortune alike. By extracting the kernel philosophies of acceptance, reason, virtue, and tranquility from the crucibles of daily existence, you anneal an inner sanctum of heroic resilience. Let these sacred mantras of equanimity, purposeful living, and seizing each moment's breathtaking radiance reverberate endlessly, for in integrating their astounding profundities, you alchemize from life's base metals into burnished avatars of enlightened fortitude. So go forth armed with this sagacious armor. Apply its everlasting principles to your every breath and action, and I implore you, let its blazing beacon guide others on their own inward journeys by sharing these revelations broadly. Like sunlight piercing the clouds, may they touch and transform innumerable fellow seekers still adrift.